A look at headlines.
Sajid says no secret agreements or discussions. 15 more parties sign MOU with Gotabaya. SLFP warns of stern action against party members who attend the convention organised by Chandrika and Velgama. Revelation of a former army commander from the Gotabaya faction.
Politicians are failunahama politics karanda bar denne apata.
Partilees challenge.
Purchase එක රුපියල් 180 ගානේ විකුණනවාය. ඒ සඳහා මේ ගිවිසුම ගහලාය ආණ්ඩුව කියන අයට. ඒ ගිවිසුමේ එවැනි එක වගන්තියක් හෝ ඊළඟ 24 පැයේ පෙන්වන්න.
The top story, a brand new scientific garden to improve the scientific knowledge of school children was declared open under the patronage of President Maithripala Sirisena this morning in Colombo. The new scientific garden has been created within the premises of the planetarium. The garden was declared open in line with the 100th birth anniversary of Professor A.N.S. Kulasinghe. The garden was created as a joint venture between the Central Engineering Consultancy Bureau and its subsidiary company, the Central Engineering Services Private Limited.
The presidential candidate of the Ruhunu People's Party, Ajantha Disoisa, pledged his support to Sajid Premadasa and took to the New Democratic Front stage at a rally held in Koskoda, Balapitiya.
This is how the presidential candidate of the Ruhunu People's Party, Ajantha Disoisa, pledged his support to Sajid Premadasa.
They said they will give the parents 3,000 rupees. Did they give it? Up to now they haven't given my mother or my father a cent. But we know how they sell us. The biggest ace in politics today is the veteran. That is their biggest ace. We didn't get onto this stage expecting money or anything else. I went to that housing minister Vimal Veeravansa on 21 instances with letters. 21 letters. Not one letter was accepted. What did they tell me? That I will be put on the next list and that we will be the next recipients. I waited for 6 months and 3 years to build my house. These ones who couldn't help us for 6 years after the war ended are now saying that they will help us within 3 months. That is their politics. I only had to ask Minister Sajid Premadasa once. Within an hour, Welfare Director Brigadier Vanyarachi was called. He was asked what the issue was and why my house was not being built. Minister Sajid Premadasa is the reason I have a house to live in. He is the one who built me my house.
බාරගත්ත සජිත් ප්‍රේමදාස තුමා කතා කළා තමයි මං ඉන්නගේ මට හදලා දුන්නේ.
The New Democratic Front nears its 100th rally on the political campaign trail. Tonight, presidential candidate of the NDF Sajid Premadasa will address his 100th rally in Mahayangana. Sajid Premadasa first attended a rally organized in the Anuradhapura district today.
යන මග හැදුනා හදින් හද හිත
A group of former local government representatives of the Sri Lanka Freedom Party pledged their support to presidential candidate Sajith Premadasa at the 95th rally of the NDF that was held in Kathagasthigiliya today.
එවගේම හොරෝපතා ආසනයේ HN දිල්ෂාන් මහතා AM ස්මයිල් කාටගස්තිගිලියේ මිෂාක් මහතා කැමැති කොල්ලෑව ඉස්මායිල් සහිදු මහතා එවගේම වවුනියාවේ KA අලීම් මහතා සහ අක්බෝපුර නගර සභාවේ අනුර සිල්වා කියන මේ කණ්ඩායම.
A child who made his way up to the stage made a request from Sajith Premadasa to solve the issues faced by the residents of the area.
A large number of soldiers are there in the civil defense sector. Our government made permanent the employment of 40,000 of them. They made a request of me to have the eligibility for pensions to be made at 22 years of service. I would like to say that I will fulfill this request. There are many kidney patients in this area. The main reason for the spread of this illness is the low quality fertilizers supplied by the previous government. They brought down cheap agrochemicals. This will not happen in the Sajith Premadasa era. We will use only carbonic fertilizer. We will build special kidney treatment units with more machinery to carry out blood transfusions. Sajith Premadasa will take care of every kidney patient in this country. I would like to remind you that it was us who began the first program in the country for kidney patients.
මේ රටේ ප්‍රථම වතාවට වකුගඩු රෝගීන් වෙනුවෙන් නිවාස ආධාර ක්‍රමය පටන් ගත්තේ අපි කියන එක මම මතක් කරන්නට කැමතියි. දෛවය අපිට දුන්න අවස්ථාව.
This is an opportunity given to us by destiny. How did Sajith become the presidential candidate? How did Gotabaya become the presidential candidate? Dugunasekara, Vasudeva Nanayakkara, Nimal Siripala de Silva, these party members didn't sit together and make a decision. The family decided that Gotabaya should be the president of this country. There was a risk of him not being able to contest when the legal issue came up. They then went and made a deposit for Chamal Rajapaksa. That was also a family decision. Look at how they belittle the intelligence of the people. They still live in the 18th century. Like an African country, what is our message to the world?
Sajith Premadasa then proceeded to Mullaitivu. The rally held in Mullivale was organised by Vijayakala Maheshwaran, Rauf Hakim, Rishad Batiuddin and a group of ministers and MPs.
Remember this well. I am not a politician who makes false promises. If my father ever said that he would carry out a certain development project, he made sure that he did it. We will initiate all of these projects on this soil to develop this nation. I lost my father because of this curse which lasted 30 years. Hundreds of thousands of people lost their loved ones, the same way I lost my father. What is required now is for us to unite. We should put humanity in front of us and make this country a truly unified and sovereign country. It does not matter if the word unity is written in the constitution, if it is not etched in the hearts of the people. We will take legal action against those who make speeches with the intention of stirring up racism and religious extremism.
With the presidential election inching closer day by day, the presidential candidate of the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna, Gotabaya Rajapaksa, attended a number of events in Puttalam today.
විශ්වයපුරා විහිදී ගියා බුදු ජන ජයරාවේ අපි වෙනුවෙන් අපි අතරම නැගෙන බලාපොරොත්තු.
This is the warm reception presidential candidate Gotabaya Rajapaksa received at a rally in North Tandia.
අසූරේ ගුණදම් පිරු අභිමන්දරු ගෝඨාභය නාමේ වැඩ කරන අපේ විරුවා බෞද්ධිමට පෙමින් සවදා රට රකින්න කෙනෙක් බේරම් ඒ ඔබයි උතුම් මිනිසා වැඩ කරන අපේ විරුවා බෞද්ධිමට පෙමින් සවදා රට රකින්න කෙනෙක් බේරම් ඒ ඔබයි උතුම් මිනිසා.
Leader of the SLPP Mahinda Rajapaksa was also in attendance.
ජනහතවත් අතරේ මහින්ද නාමෙන්
When I was coming here, I stopped the vehicle near a cardboard factory. They had about 120 employees. Now they only have 20 employees. They had to close the shop because they bought low quality products from overseas. This is why we must protect our local industries. We have offered many tax relief policies to support local businesses. This area used to have batiks. Then they bought batiks for a cheaper price from overseas. Then our businesses are put in a tough position. We must stop bringing these things in from overseas. We must help our local industries and introduce technology and also provide them with interest-free financial facilities to make investments.
දේශීය කර්මාන්තකරුවා දියුණු කරන්නට ඕන අපි ආර්ථිකය ඉහළට ගෙනියන්නට.
ඉස්මිත ලෙසින් ඉස්කම්මව එළයේ අභිමානේ වෙන්දා දෙමින් මුළු ලොව දින අපහා යන ගමනේ නොවනන්ද.
Gotabaya Rajapaksa then proceeded to Chilao.
ඉන්නනවදී මව්බිම අපේ රැකදෙන විරුවානනේ වැඩ කරන අපේ විරුවා මව්බිමට පෙමින් සවදා රට රකින්න කෙනෙක් බේරම් ඒ ඔබයි උතුම් මිනිසා වැඩ කරන අපේ විරුවා මව්බිමට පෙමින් සවදා රට රකින්න කෙනෙක් බේරම් ඒ ඔබයි උතුම් මිනිසා.
Why did the former president choose the former defense secretary to contest the presidential election? He has the ability to ensure the security of all. He was at the forefront of finishing the war that lasted 30 years. The whole country asked for him. That is why he was nominated. He can work for the people and protect them. It is not to hand the responsibility of security to someone else. He himself can do it. We need to ensure security to rebuild the country and its people. This is a pickpocket government. They steal and shout thief, thief in our direction. They stole from the bank. We will bring all those who stole to court. We will do it. You all know that it was former President Mahinda Rajapaksa, when he was the Minister of Fisheries, that did a great service to the fishing community. We have plans to make fishing harbours and also to ensure the protection of the fishing community. All of you know we established the Coast Guard for your safety. When they had a problem, they used to stop foreign vessels. I know how much of a problem they had in the north back then. We got involved as much as we could. We pledged to do everything to ensure your safety and also to grow the fisheries industry. That is why we have presented this manifesto.
Meanwhile, the following are the views expressed by Field Marshal Sarath Fonseca at a public meeting held in Alpitia last night.
They say that the country is corrupt and blame it against the bond scam. They cannot remember the fraud and corruption that took place during their time. Mahinda Rajapaksa robbed 7,000 million from the port, then robbed another 1,750 million from the hedging agreement, then another 7 billion from the bonds obtained from Greece, and 154 billion a year from Sri Lankan Airlines. If you start talking about fraud and corruption during the Rajapaksa regime, you have to mention the robbing of the Tsunami Relief Fund. What else is there to talk? They robbed everything they could. They robbed from their parents' grave. Gotabaya robbed from the garbage dump in Colombo. Wherever they were stationed, they robbed. Gotabaya is trying to come into power not because of his love for the people or to protect the country.
Gotabaya බලයට එන්න හදන්නේ ජනතාවට ආදරෙට නෙවෙයි රට ආරක්ෂා කරන්න නෙවෙයි.
Presidential candidate Sajith Premadasa spoke regarding secret discussions and agreements. However, SLPP candidate Gotabaya Rajapaksa's faction held a contradicting view in this regard.
The Ilangai Tamil Arasu Katchi party announced that they will be supporting Sajith Premadasa at a media briefing held yesterday. Parliamentarian M.A. Sumandaran said that there is no connection between the 13 proposals prepared by a group including university students and the decision reached to support Sajith Premadasa. Sajith Premadasa has not signed an agreement accepting the proposals. I held discussions on this matter with member parties of the TNA. All of them were of the stance that we should support Sajith Premadasa. There was no other opinion. So that decision was accepted by the TNA, the Tamil Arts Katchi party, and the other parties accepted this as well. This is what the people asked for.
Presidential candidate Sajith Premadasa spoke regarding secret discussions and agreements. However, the leader of the SLPP, Mahinda Rajapaksa, had this to say.
Now the TNA is saying that they were given all of their demands. Sajith has promised to provide all of these, including a way to divide the country. We were also given these conditions, but we rejected all of them. But he embraced all of them and included it in his manifesto. They have already included a way to divide the country in their manifesto. Sajith has signed it, Ranil has signed it. This is the situation today.
We held discussion to solve some of the ongoing issues, releasing of land, the issues regarding disappeared people and those who have been punished for a long period. That is why I asked the parties representing the North to support this. We do not go and hold secret discussions or sign secret agreements. The decision we took yesterday was taken after we considered both of the candidates and compared them. The decision was not taken based on discussions we held with them or based on whether they agreed to our proposals.
There was a time when political deals were struck. I have no political deals. I do not hold secret discussions. I do not have secret agreements. I have invited everyone in the name of humanity to join us to develop this country, to ensure that the unitary status, the sovereignty and territorial integrity of the country is preserved, and to create an era where all communities are treated equally. We are ready to create that era.
Meanwhile, the SLPP made another allegation at a media briefing in Colombo today.
Minister Rajitha Senaratne very clearly stated in the North yesterday that they will pardon and release all the LTTE prisoners who has court cases against them. This was said while Ranil Wickremesinghe was present on stage. On one hand, this is a disgrace to the courts. Against the mechanism of the courts in this country, the minister says that they will release these prisoners. The situation in the future will be dangerous.
Although Minister Rohitha Abegunawardena made this statement, this is what the presidential candidate of his faction, Gotabaya Rajapaksa, posted in Tamil on his official Twitter account.
Quote, "We released 13,300 members of the LTTE after they were rehabilitated. We released all the inmates apart from 274 among the 5,000 inmates. I made a promise to the people of Jaffna last Monday. I will rehabilitate and release the remaining when I become the president." End quote.
The SLPP signed a memorandum of understanding with another 15 political parties today. The event to sign the MOU was attended by presidential candidate of the SLPP, Gotabaya Rajapaksa.
The Memorandum of Understanding was signed at Gotabaya Rajapaksa's party office in Mirihana, Nugegoda following religious observations. Secretary of the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna, Sagar Karyabasam, signed the agreement on behalf of the SLPP, and representatives of the parties who pledged their support also endorsed the MOU. The MOU was signed by the Agila Ilangai Tamil Mahasabha, Sri Tello, Sri Lanka People's National Party, the Janata Party with Indian roots, the New Democratic People's Front, the Patriotic United National Party, Progressive Janata Sevaka Party, the National Front, the United Democratic Mahajana Party, Eksat Lanka Podujana Party, the Patriotic Progressive People's Front, the Islam Socialist Front and the Sri Lanka Mahajana Congress. The group posed for a photograph after signing the MOU.
Meanwhile, former Army Commander General Daya Ratnayaka expressed these views addressing a meeting with university professors held in Colombo yesterday. The meeting was organized in support of Gotabaya Rajapaksa's presidential candidacy.
When politicians fail, they let us do politics. When the government fails to maintain peace and order, they call us. It is because of such a reason that an army is equipped, structured and trained in such a manner. Most of us don't know, and many of us assume that soldiers exist to shoot and move forward. It's not just that. We are well equipped to psychologically understand why these people are shooting at us. They don't just use the term intelligence. The best professors in the world do our contracts. We do so and have discussions as well. We don't just look at society with a bird's eye view. We look at it differently. With our approach, we can see how people act and think. Members of the intelligence go on strike when university students go on strike. We can say who conducts lectures at universities, who doesn't, who slacks and who works. We can reveal all these things. So never try to argue too much with a soldier. The wrong thing about you may come out.
ඒ නිසා කවුරුත් වැඩි ආගියු කරගන්න එන්න එපා සෝල්ජර් කෙනෙක් එක්ක.
State Minister Ranjan Ramanayake attended a public meeting in Rambukkana yesterday.
අනේ කොල්ලෝ මට තව මීටින් එකකට යන්න තියෙනවා. ඔබ හයියෙන් කියපන්කෝ. SF කොල්ලෙක්.
You are from the Special Forces. If he is from the Special Forces, please let him speak. He is a war hero. What is the problem? This war hero says that Gotabe, who speaks about war heroes, put them to clean gutters. These are the true heroes of the battlefield. Gotabe was in America. I asked him to remove the shirt and show me. There are 33 shrapnel in his body from the explosion. Gotabe was in America. It is these sort of people who contest the presidential election. We can witness jokes like this only in Sri Lanka.
Still in political news, presidential candidate of the National People's Power Movement, Anura Kumara Dissanayake, attended a media briefing in Colombo today.
The media briefing was attended by a group of intellectuals supporting the National People's Power Movement. Our manifesto includes the required proposals and strategies to ensure that the public is provided with all the necessary services. Our party is equipped with a group that is capable of developing this country. So what is the problem that we face? How can we obtain the power to implement all of our proposals? We can only obtain power through the votes of the general public. It takes centuries for a transformation of a society. We believe this upcoming presidential election will be a turning point for us all. If we look at the final amendments, we need a new amendment to the constitution. We will draft a new constitution after obtaining a public mandate. There were three factors that strengthened the LTTE: weapons, funds and international connections. All three factors were fulfilled by Kumaran Padmanathan, better known as KP. You may remember how they created much controversy that KP was brought to Sri Lanka. However, he was not arrested or taken to courts. He lives freely. I visited a prisoner. Why was he arrested? For possessing a passport belonging to the LTTE. However, the passport was signed by Daya Master. At that point, Daya Master was free, while this man was in jail. How can this happen? Under certain punishable offences, the maximum jail term is 7 years. However, there are some who have been in remand for more than 20 years. In my view, this is more of a social justice issue than a legal issue. Until today, every government tried to strike a balance with certain international powers. Based on the events that transpired in the past, international policies were based on who paid the leaders most and not about national priorities. I state this with responsibility. Certain presidents had obtained money from Chinese companies. The reason why Sri Lanka distanced or grew closer to certain countries was the benefits and commissions. Now the biggest threat is the extremism that is growing within certain factions. There are only three solutions for this issue. 1. Do not make extremism a part of politics. 2. Do not leave room for extremism within any community. And the third option is the police. Anyone who does a business with a value of more than 2 billion is powerful in terms of wealth and politics. People are shouting that the death penalty should be introduced. It is only political marketing. The death sentence will not eradicate the drug menace. Those who bring drugs into the country should be punished.
Attorney at Law Harshana Nanayakar expressed the following opinions at a rally organised by the National People's Power Movement to support Anurukumara Dissanayake. Recently, MP Vijayadasa Rajapaksa stated that he prevented Gotabaya Rajapaksa being implicated in the Avantgarde case. If this happened in a different country, he would have been thrown into jail immediately after this statement was made. but that did not happen in this country. The former Chief Justice begged for forgiveness, saying that he protected a lot of thieves during Mahinda Rajapaksa's tsunami fiasco. Recently, Ravi Vaidyalankara was appointed the head of the FCID that was established to bring these thieves before the law. He withdraws his salary while spending his time campaigning for the Rajapaksas. Nowhere in the world would a person who has 7 allegations against him even contest for an election of a cooperative society. They were appointed to these positions most definitely by Ranil Wickremesinghe's government. They are now talking about national unity. 3 months after the April 21st attacks, Gotabaya Rajapaksa is saying that when he becomes president, he will ensure national security. Now Sajith Premadasa is saying that he will appoint Field Marshal Sarath Fonseca to head the security of this nation. Keep in mind that there are certain extremist politicians who fuel discord in order to protect their votes. In the east, we have Muslim extremist politicians. In the north, there are Muslim and Tamil extremist politicians. And in the south, there is Janasara and the group. They spread disharmony among communities to protect their voter base. They display this and obtain ministerial portfolios. Just keep in mind that religious disharmony is the final resort of thugs.
Meanwhile, Field Marshal Sarath Fonseca, addressing a rally in Alpitia yesterday, made an open invitation to the Janatha Vimukti Peramuna.
Although he is silent like a cat now, when he has power, Gotabaya Rajapaksa will turn this country into hell. So all the people in this country have to put aside party differences and understand. I kindly ask my brothers in the JVP, you have always been with us. Our leader Sajith Premadasa is not a thief. He has no place for corruption. That is the same thing the JVP says. Join us. I humbly request that you join us to defeat this common enemy. The Sri Lanka Freedom Party has heavily criticized the convention organized by the Organization to Protect the Sri Lanka Freedom Party, which is to be held in Colombo tomorrow. Now, frontline leaders of the party stated that disciplinary action will be taken against all those attending the conference tomorrow.
The convention is set to take place under the leadership of former President Chandrika Bandaranayake Kumaratunga and former Minister Kumara Welgama. Issuing a release, Party General Secretary Dayasiri Jayasekara stated that this organization is acting without the permission of the Sri Lanka Freedom Party. He added that the decision to act in such a manner at a time where the Central Committee of the party had decided to support Gotabaya Rajapaksa's candidacy was considered a violation of party protocol. He further added that action will be taken against all public representatives and organizers affiliated to the parties if they take part in the convention.
Sri Lanka Nidas.
We have launched the program to protect the Sri Lanka Freedom Party. We have formed an alliance with 17 parties and will work to ensure Gotabaya Rajapaksa's victory. At the Central Committee meeting tomorrow, we will take a decision to take disciplinary action against all those who will either directly or indirectly violate party decisions. We plan to discuss and take a disciplinary decision in this regard if anyone will act in violation of the party's policy decisions. We have not stopped our mission to protect the Sri Lanka Freedom Party. All SLFPers around the country have come together. That is what the members of the Central Working Committee fear. They are now saying that they will revoke my membership and that they will remove Madam Chandrika from her position as patron. They are doing all of this in fear. These people who come from all sides do not know the value of this party. They think the Pohuttuwa is more valuable. They do not have the Sri Lanka Freedom Party anymore. Only we do. Only original SLFPers understand the real situation.
Joining the Ilakkaya program aired on our sister channel Sirasa TV, UPFA MP Kumara Welgama expressed the following opinions.
The chairman of the party appointed an acting chairman and the party chairman remained neutral. This is because he too does not agree with the decision that was taken. That is what we can see. So they cannot lay this off on us. Who is the founder of the Sri Lanka Freedom Party? Mr. Bandaranayake. Are they going to go against Chandrika Bandaranayake, who is his heir? Who is Dayasiri to take this action as the General Secretary? How has the discipline been violated? Mahinda Rajapaksa formed a new party while inside the Sri Lanka Freedom Party. They obtained membership of that party. Where is the disciplinary action? While knowing the truth, they sent a letter saying that they are still members of the party. Now that is the true danger. While they were in the Sri Lanka Freedom Party, they took membership in another party.
Sri Lanka Nidas Pakshe ඉඳගෙන පොට්ටුවේ සමාජිකත්වය ගන්නවා.
The Minister of Megapolis and Western Development, Patali Champika Ranawaka, convened a media briefing in Colombo today. Some of these so-called intellectuals are saying that this government is attempting to divide this country by building a fence from Colombo to Trincomalee. Several more of them are saying that we are attempting to bring down American troops to a corridor that is built between these fences. These are baseless insults. Most countries don't have a national resource plan. This was initiated in 2000. The Department of Town and Country Planning that was there at the point was converted into the Department of National Planning, where highways should be built, where main roads should be laid, where economic zones should be established, where airports, environmentally protected areas, residential areas, all of these are identified by this department. In 2008, under the guidance of then President Mahinda Rajapaksa, the first National Resource Planning was held. Vimal Weerawansa was the one who headed this department at the time, and the National Resource Plan was gazetted and made into a law. The places highlighted in purple are places that can be specially developed. The Western Province has been identified as a place that was specially developed. In the same manner, Anuradhapura, Polonnaruwa and Trincomalee are places that can be specially developed. In the same way, places in the south like Monaragala, Vallawaya, Matara, Galle and Hambantota have been identified. Areas in the north and east have also been identified. Meanwhile, the minister also expressed these opinions on the MCC agreements. The Millennium Challenge Cooperation Agreement is uploaded on the website. I challenge those who allege that this government is signing this agreement to sell one perch for 180 rupees to give us proof citing this agreement. Show us this proof within the next 24 hours. If such proof cannot be brought forward, whether it be someone from the clergy or not, we will have to call them out as slanders, because slandering is against one of the 10 principles that was preached by Lord Buddha. This is done by several countries around the world. Different governments made an attempt to take this. Even Mahinda Rajapaksa did.
Still in political news, General Mahesh Sena Nayaka, the presidential candidate of the National People's Party, attended a district conference in Vennapur yesterday.
Sri Lanka is not a poor country. This is a country that was made poor. They are only namesake politicians. It is unfortunate to say. It's the politicians who divided us, sold our country and made it poor. What politicians do to our country is equivalent to what terrorists do. I promise I will not back down until I change this political culture and the system. Even the constitution says the president of this country should be neutral. If the president is not neutral, he is compelled to shoulder the garbage of his party. That is what happened in 2015. There was a constitutional crisis in October last year. The people of this country hoped for the army commander to take over the country. However, we did not join, as we wanted to give the opportunity to the independent judiciary that operates within an independent framework. The second phase of casting postal votes is ongoing. According to the National Election Commission, police officers and officials attached to election officers and district secretariats will be afforded the opportunity to cast their postal votes tomorrow as well. The first phase of casting postal votes was held on the 31st of last month and the 1st of November. Voters who missed the opportunity to cast their postal votes on those 2 days and won't be able to cast their vote today and tomorrow can cast their vote at the district secretariats on the 7th of November. There are 659,514 voters who are eligible to cast a postal vote for this election. Our correspondent said that casting of postal votes was held peacefully. The Election Commission stated that as officers were deployed for monitoring and providing security at locations where postal votes were being cast, police officers and officers attached to district secretariats were allowed to vote today and will be able to vote tomorrow as well. The Elections Commission highlighted that any form of photography or videography inside the location where postal votes are being cast is prohibited. The Commission added that posting any such images on social media is a punishable offence.
The Coordinating Officer of Election Affairs of the New Democratic Front, Attorney-at-Law Yassas De Silva, handed over a complaint to the National Election Commission today.
The complaint was lodged at the National Election Commission this morning regarding an attack on an election office of the New Democratic Front.
Based on the advice of Tissat Nayaka, we lodged 2 complaints at the National Election Commission today. One complaint was the attack on our party office in Ridiyagama, Ambalantota. The other complaint is regarding the destruction of a shop named Olive Fashion in Ambalantota. The owner of this shop is a supporter of Sajith Premadasa. It is clear election violence has started to spread in an organized manner. As the party in power, the UNP has not harassed or caused any violence towards any of their opponents. However, factions of the opposition have started to harass those supporting Sajith Premadasa. This is disappointing. We urge the National Election Commission to take action against this matter and to instruct the police to take strict action against such matters and to control the situation. The chairman of the NEC has the powers to do so.
Meanwhile, Attorney at Law Premanath C. Dolawatha also handed over a complaint to the National Election Commission today.
On the 23rd of October, we lodged a complaint regarding the operations of state-run media institutions. After analysing this complaint in depth for a while on the 1st of November, the NEC announced their decision to ban political programs on a particular channel until election results were announced. Subsequently, on the 3rd of November, the NEC withdrew their decision, stating that since private media institutions cannot be monitored, it would be unfair to others. This was the complaint we lodged at the NEC once again today. This is wrong and unfair. A group has vandalized the name boards placed at the entry roads to the Sadalugama and Sanasiligama model villages constructed under the Ministry of Housing and Construction. Now the name boards were located at the Pallimalla junction in Hambantota.
According to the area residents, the name boards were vandalized by a group last Saturday night. Minister Sajith had constructed houses for families that did not have a roof over their head. These are 2 name boards of those villages. These are state property. Vandalizing these boards are wrong. This is the money of innocent people. We inquired on the incident from the Senior District Manager of Housing Development in the Hambantota District, Gunapara Disanayaka. He said that a complaint has been lodged at the Hambantota Police and added that the Office of the Elections Commission in Hambantota had also been notified of it. Meanwhile, a disabled soldier was attacked by a group while he was passing by a meeting of supporters of the Podujana Perumuna in Ihala Malagane Varyapola. The disabled soldier A.M. Vasanta Bandara, a resident of the area who was injured in the attack, was admitted to the Varyapola hospital. He is currently receiving in-house treatment at the hospital.
There was a meeting along the road that I was travelling on. They had blocked the road. When I went past them and stopped and got off the vehicle, they hit me in the face. I fell next to the 3-wheeler. The incident occurred at around 10. A person called Ananda, who is the former driver of DB Herath, was the one who attacked me.
In more political news, presidential candidate of the Janasatha Peramuna, Venerable Battaramulle Seelaratna Thera, attended a public meeting in Kaduwela yesterday.
Today the nation is laughing at this big mockery that is being carried out by the presidential candidates of this country. We can understand from the words spoken that they are unable to understand the problems of the people and provide relief to the people. Also, the people who are supposed to solve the nation's problems are not doing it. The Yahapalaniya government imposed taxes on the general public instead of having the strength to talk about the rights of the people. I take the responsibility of protecting this country. I take responsibility of enacting the law. And I will not forgive all these thieves, the rogues and the ethanol smugglers.
State Minister of Industry and Commerce Buddhika Pathirana attended a UNP rally in Mullaitivu yesterday. Why should you vote for Sajith Premadasa on the 16th of November? Sajith Premadasa does not narrate one story in the north, another in the south, another in the west and something else in the east. It's the same thing he tells across the country. Sajith Premadasa is contesting for the upcoming presidential election as the candidate accepted by everyone and not as the candidate of Colombo or as the candidate of the Sinhalese community. What is important is the future of our children. What is the point of having money or education if there is no freedom to live? Everyone has the right to live in freedom. Only Sajith Premadasa can create a country where everyone is treated equally.
මේ රටේ ඕනම පුද්ගලයෙකුට නිදහස නැත්තම් ඒක උතුරේ වේවා දකුණේ වේවා රට පුරාම ඒ නිදහස තියෙන්න ඕනේ. සියලු දෙනාට එක අම්මගේ දරුවෝ වගේ එකට සලකන සමාජයක් හදන්න පුළුවන් සජිත් ප්‍රේමදාස මහත්මයා.
Taking a look at some local news now, 5 Sri Lankan fishermen were taken into custody along with a stock of heroin along the southern seas of the country. The Navy also seized a multi-day fishing vessel carrying what is suspected to be a stock of over 2,000 kilograms of heroin yesterday.
The stash of drugs were discovered when a multi-day fishing vessel was inspected in the southern seas of the country. According to the Navy, the group was attempting to smuggle drugs into the country via sea. The seized contraband has been handed over to the Police Anti-Narcotics Bureau for further investigations. The Navy was able to discover a stash of 224 kilograms of drugs. As you can see, this is just an ordinary multi-day fishing vessel. When the vessel was inspected, we found equipment that can be usually found on a multi-day fishing vessel, such as fishing equipment, fishing rods, fishing nets, and items like that. We have noticed that most of these drug smugglers have used these multi-day fishing vessels to smuggle drugs into the country. Two suspects on a boat that came to transport the drugs from the multi-day fishing vessel to the shore were also arrested. The Police Anti-Narcotics Bureau took into custody a multi-day fishing vessel, the other small boat, 1 satellite phone, 7 cell phones and 3 GPS devices. Also, this stash of heroin was packed into 200 parcels and stored in 8 polythene sacks. Initial investigations conducted by the Police Anti-Narcotics Bureau revealed that the substance was drugs. However, this stock of drugs will be sent to the government analyst for further investigations. Information of 3 people behind these heroin smuggling operations were revealed. Steps will be taken to arrest these 3 main smugglers in the future as well. We are also conducting investigations on a person who is said to have coordinated these operations from overseas. The Police Anti-Narcotics Bureau hopes to produce the suspects before the Colombo Chief Magistrate and request for a detention order for 7 days. A total of 1,638 kilos and 397 grams of heroin has been seized so far this year, including this stock of drugs as well. 35,702 suspects have been arrested.
පොලිස් මද්ද්‍රව්‍ය කාර්යාංශය බලාපොරොත්තු වෙන්නේ මේ අවුරුද්දේ මේ වෙනතුරු මේ තොගයත් ඇතුළත්ව අත්අඩංගුවට අරන් තියෙන සමස්ත හෙරෝයින් ප්‍රමාණය කිලෝ 1638ක් සහ ග්‍රෑම් 397ක් වෙනවා.
In a recent report, independent think tank Advocata has issued a warning over the ballooning external debt commitment, which may lead to a sovereign bond default unless drastic and sustainable actions are taken.
According to think tank Advocata, despite official statistics stating Sri Lanka's debt amounts to 82.9% of GDP, when one accounts for government borrowings from state banks and the central bank as well as private sector foreign borrowings, total government debt hits 100% of GDP. A team of leading economists have warned that it is likely that the ballooning external debt commitment will lead to a sovereign bond default unless drastic and sustainable actions are taken. Advocata further points out public debt would double in 6 years while the poor and marginalized segments of society will be the most impacted by a crystallized debt crisis. Advocata further points out that debt is simply taxation postponed with interest added. Money printed can tide over the short term, but ultimately results in inflation and currency depreciation. The need, therefore, is to rein in expenditure which must start with a proper plan, committed implementation and role model leadership action.
Aravade, A Vote for Children, a program by the UNICEF to ensure that every vote cast at the presidential election will be a vote to uphold rights of children, was launched recently. The program calls upon the 35 presidential candidates to commit and take action to elevate 6 critical issues affecting 6 million children in Sri Lanka. Of those 6 main commitments, ending child malnutrition forever was first and foremost. The other commitments are an education system to prepare children for the future, end child poverty, ban damaging physical punishment against children, create an inclusive and peaceful Sri Lanka, and fight climate change and prepare the country for its effects. News First Azra Asan spoke to UNICEF country representative Tim Sutton in this regard.
What we're really trying to do is make sure that in this presidential election, the 6 most critical issues for children are discussed by both the voters and the candidates themselves.
Have you communicated this to the presidential candidates?
Every presidential candidate has received
all
the information.
All
35 of them. All 35 are receiving emails or having the letters from our website where people are signing up. We are delivering the letters to them. So every time you visit aravare.lk, that generates an email that goes to the candidates, or if the candidates don't have an email address, is delivered to them.
Sri Lanka is currently battered by so many issues like the economy, development, so many things. But why children?
But what so often happens is those issues dominate, and they should be discussed. But the issues of children also need to be discussed. The government knows we have a problem with nutrition, but for 10 years, for all the investments that have been made, we haven't substantially reduced the levels of stunting and wasting in this country, which says that we need to change. We can't keep doing the same things and expect a different result.
Why presidential candidates?
Because presidential candidates set the agenda. They are leading the government. They're at the highest level. If the presidential secretariat gets in behind these issues, it can drive them. It can convene. We'll also get involved in the parliamentary elections as well.
Are you going to follow up on this?
Absolutely. And that's the idea of trying to ask our candidates to publicly commit to saying, yes, I am going to address these issues. We'll be able to follow up with them and help them, support them. It isn't just a matter of holding them accountable, it's a matter of generating the cohesive action towards these.
Are we being realistic here? Are these practical issues that we can actually solve?
Yes. Everything here is doable. We know how to do it. All these things we know how to do. What they require is political leadership at the highest level.
Up next is the International News Roundup.
Schools in hard-hit areas in Somalia have been forced to shut their doors as the country continues to struggle with heavy flooding that has left over 250,000 people displaced. In the central Somali town, rising floodwaters caused cancellation of regular classes and physical damage to schools. Education officials said students and teachers have been forced to flee to higher ground, where aid agencies are providing life-saving assistance, including shelter, to 250,000 people. It's the second flood to affect the town in less than a year. In 2018, floods forced the Ministry of Education to postpone national examinations. Health officials said more than a dozen people had died from the recent floods, with others still missing. The country's President Mohamed Abdullahi Farmajo toured the hardest-hit areas and promised government support to end recurrent floods. Indian capital New Delhi was again shrouded in heavy smog today as the air quality continued to deteriorate. Authorities in the world's most polluted capital city have already declared a public health emergency and ordered the closure of schools. Delhi city government also restricted the use of private vehicles on the capital's roads under an odd-even scheme based on license plates. The air quality index, measuring levels of PM 2.5, tiny particulate matter in the air, in most of the area in Delhi stayed above 600 level, down slightly from 900. The Supreme Court is likely to hear a petition later today from the government agency looking for ways to make state governments take tougher action against farmers to curb the stubble burning. Politicians have been reluctant to upset their farming constituencies. According to SAFAR, satellite pictures had captured more than 3,000 incidents of stubble burning last week in neighboring states, contributing to 44% of Delhi's pollution. President Nicolas Maduro lambasted El Salvador's President Nayib Bukele a traitor in Havana after the Central American country kicked out diplomats representing the Maduro government. El Salvador President Nayib Bukele's government does not recognize Maduro as legitimate and said it would receive a new diplomatic corps representing opposition leader Juan Guaido. Maduro has expelled Salvadoran diplomats in response to the move from San Salvador.
In your sports news, the Western Province won the 35th All-Island Schools Athletics Champions organized by the Ministry of Education. The Central Province were the runners-up.
The 2019 All-Ireland Schools Athletic Championship was held at the Sugadadasa Stadium for a period of 5 consecutive days. Western Province won the overall championship by scoring 1,280 points. Central Province was the runner-up with 501 points, while Northwestern Province was awarded the third place with 437 points. St. Peter's College Bambalapitiya won the senior boys category with 133 points. Walalay Ratnayaka College won the senior girls championship with 235 points. Mixed school championship of the tournament was won by the Walalay Ratnayaka College with 307 points. With 89 bonus points, Gateway International in Rajagiriya won the runners-up, while Sir John Kotalawala Mahavidyalaya in Kurunagala won the third place with 56 points. The men's pair of the championship was awarded to M.R. Bandara of the Lunuvilla Vakada Mahavidyalaya for setting up a new tournament record in the 400 meters category in the under-18 category. He achieved the feat in 47.53 seconds. Shalinda Jensen of the Gateway College Rajagiriya was awarded the Women's Player of the Tournament award for completing the 200 meters run in 24.48 seconds, contesting under the under-20 category. Royal College Colombo with 127.5 bonus points was awarded the school's highest performance in the competition. St. Peter's College awarded the second place with 80 points, while Vishaka Vidyalaya won the third place with 60 points. 49 new records were established in this year's competition, with 27 in the boys category and 22 in the girls category. Accordingly, the athletes managed to establish 10 records in the last day of the competitions.
And that's a wrap of Primetime News for tonight. I'm Jamal Ratnayaka for the News 15.
And I'm Michaela Fernando. Thank you for watching. Good night.